Hey guys, it's Marie Ping with Interbanks Engineering. Wanted to come on here and give you a little information about some land in case you happen to be someone who has inherited land, you found a piece you're thinking you want to develop, but you're not sure what to do with it, or you may be a realtor who is involved with developers and people asking you about advice regarding land. So, asked and got 5 questions. I'm sure that there are others. Let's just start with these 5 first. What is land development, and what are the different types of land development projects that exist? Land development is a large process. There's a lot there. It is commercial, industrial, residential. You have these various forms of land development. I specialize in commercial and residential mostly. I have done some industrial sites, but most of the time I do deal with subdivision type work or commercial sites. And basically, we're taking a raw or underutilized piece of land and turning it into something valuable that will be an asset to the community. So what are the key factors that determine the suitability of a piece of land? Like, location. Right now, location for almost any house would be taken up by a residence because we're in such need for residential. However, there are key factors to determine suitability of a piece of land. So a lot of those is location, topography, how high is the land, how low is the land, are there ditches on the property, is there a low spot where it doesn't drain? Do you have drainage issues? These are things I ask people all the time as soon as they start asking me about a site. What are your soil qualities? Where are your existing utilities and infrastructure? What is the zoning? And many other environmental concerns. So those are some of the few key factors. If we could do a deeper dive on that and get you more information on how you can find out a lot of that information for yourself on a piece of land. What are the common challenges associated with land development, and how can they be addressed? Well, some of the common challenges are environmental, zoning, and permitting. All are top issues that we run into when doing a project. Finances for a lot of people can be an issue. As well as community opposition. We have gone to boards at times and had people come out against us, as well as we've gone to boards where people would come in favor of the growth and development, just depending on what's going on in that community at the time and whether they are wanting some growth or not. Let's see, how are they addressed? Usually we just have to present the community with the plans. We have to go and present to all of the agencies and show them how we will be developing the land and improving the situation from whatever the current situation is, whatever is on that land, and however it is to be developed. Someone asked, what is the process for obtaining permits and approvals for land development projects? What are typical timelines and costs? So some typical timelines, I usually tell people anywhere from 60 to 90 days because it usually takes about 30 to 45 days, depending on where my surveyors are, to get the data. And then you're looking at a 30-day design period just to get the work done and get it on the schedule and get it completed. And that depends on the complexity of the project. Now, usually once we go to permitting, most all permits take between 30 and 45 days. Depending on what the permit is. If you're in a coastal area and you got to have a CAMA permit, you're probably looking at 90 to 120 days. So if you do have a piece of land and you think you want to do something with it, go ahead and figure you're going to be taking some time. It's going to take time. It is a process that we have to go through. So different permits would be your zoning, permitting, and then there's all kinds of environmental permits that we have to go through each one and follow the rules for each one, just depending on how you are wanting to develop your land. Last question someone may ask, what are the key environmental considerations that need to be taken into account when planning a land development project? Well, all my developers know, my clients know, the first thing I ask is, how big is the lot? What is the size? How much area will you be disturbing? And how much will you be putting in pavement or roof, which is impervious area? Those are critical numbers as to what environmental permits we will have to have. I also ask whether there's utilities or not. So those are things that are the first comments that I have. That covers usually erosion, water quality, detention, any kind of zoning issues you may have with finding out buffers, etc. If you're in the correct zone for your for whatever your use is, and whether you may need to rezone or not. So I have just briefly gone over 5 items that you may have a question about if you happen to have land. And if you are interested in learning more about land, want to have a conversation, or you happen to have a piece of land and you're not sure what to do, DM me and send me your questions so that I could be prepared and I can go into a little more depth on land and land development and show you what we've got and how you can use some tools that are out there to find out as much information about land as you can. So follow me on Instagram or check out the YouTube page where this information will be held. So anyway, take care and we'll talk to you soon.